Yeah, hi there. These comments are for KMP. I'll just say Kemp. And I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. And I'm going to listen to your pretest. This is the diagnostic pretest for vowel and consonant sounds.
Diagnostic pretest part A. Pot, boat, wrong.
Now, first of all, the P sound, you got to pronounce the P not like a B. It's not Bart, but it's part. Part B. So be very careful about that.
Grow, honor, over, father, though,
Okay?
pet, pot, map, mop, tech, talk, and on, Mac, mock, bright, brown, broil, lie.
Remember, when you have the BR like bright, it's not bright, brown, but it's just bright. So be careful of the consonant cluster involving the R. You don't want to pronounce it. You're pronouncing it like you do in your own language, and that's going to mark you as a non-native speaker. Now, basically, I'm going to go ahead and listen to all of your pretests. Then I will tell you which vowel and consonant sound lessons you need to focus on the most.
Loyal, pie, pound, gate, get, late, let, mate, met, blade, bled.
Now, definitely lesson number 10, the problem here is with the longer sound. Gate, get, late, let, mate, met. You're not making the long vowel sound long enough, so that's a lesson that you definitely want to work on.
Den, den, meet, meet, pit, pit, leap, lip, sit, sit, hit, hit.
You got a little bit better near the end of this one, but be careful. You have meet, mit, beat, bit. In this case, you're having more trouble with the shorter vowel sound.
Look, lip.
Okay, so I'm going to write this down. This is lesson 11.
Look, luck, took, tool, tough, could, cool, match, mash.
Okay, I think this is one you need to work on too. Lesson number 12. Now, like the P sound, the T sound needs to have a little more air. So, tool, touch, take.
Cheap, sheep, feature, fisher, shaft, shaft, cheer, shear, off, have, fine, wine, fan, van, wafer, weaver.
So I think here in lesson 14, you have to focus on the V, especially when the V's in the initial position in the word. So you need to pronounce it with more vibration. So you'll say vine, van, vault, vex. Just need to pronounce that with more vibration.
Rehash, behavior, hate, Batman, bitten, important, brightening, hat track, threatened, major, measure, fragile, fragile.
Now in this lesson, this is lesson number 15. Now take notes, right? I'm taking notes right here, so you should also take notes. Lesson number 15, I think in this lesson you want to focus on the glottal stop. For example, let me give you the words that you're having a little bit of trouble with. Batman, bitten, important, brightening, hat rack, threatened. So in American English, we have a glottal stop, so we don't really pronounce the T when it's in the middle of those words. You're saying more Batman, bitten, important. And you can say it that way. It's not a major problem. I just want you to understand that native speakers will not pronounce it that way. It may affect your understanding of what we're saying unless you understand what the glottal stop is and how we produce that sound.
Legend, legion, engine, azure, large, Asia, cake.
So I think on this one too, you had a little trouble in the beginning. So I'm going to say lesson 16, major, measure, fragile, Frazier, legend, legion. So a little bit of trouble with the second sound. It's the j. This is a palatal consonant. Think of it kind of like a J and a Z, a combination of a J and a Z sound, and then you come up with the j, measure. All right.
Keg, sink, sag, came, game, cap, gap, lake, leg,
Okay.
lean, rear, better, luggage, rugged, udder.
Okay, I think you should work on that R sound a little bit here. So that's lesson number 18. So especially remember earlier in the video, especially focus when the R is in a consonant cluster and it's not the first sound in the word. For example, the word brown, you don't want to say brown. If you say straight, you don't want to say straight. So it's straight, brown, train. So you have to be careful the R. Okay, that's lesson number 18.
Light, committed, pace, base, flap, flab, cap, cab, lap, lab, pay, bay.
So it's in this one, with your P sound, you do better when the P's at the end of the word, but you have more trouble when it's in the beginning of the word. For example, the word pace, base, pay, bay. So this is lesson 19. I want you to focus on the P, especially when it's in the beginning of the word, the first letter. Make sure you pronounce it with more aspiration or with more air, and that'll make it easier for native speakers to understand what you're saying. All right, so that's lesson 19.
Lice, lies, sip, zip, sew, zoo, maze, maze, Elisa, Eliza.
All right.
Multiple, Robert, example, pressure, principle, number, people.
Now the one sound I want you to work on here, it's the ol, the principle, ol, people, example, multiple. You're not exactly pronouncing that sound correctly. Think of it as a schwa, ol with a L. You know the schwa sound as in the word among, among. So ol. So put the schwa and then an L at the end, and that gives you multiple, example, principle, people, ol. All right, let's keep going.
Philosopher, volcanism, written, maximum, question, summer, reason, chasm, often,
Okay.
dip, cart, card, tight, tide, trade.
Now, notice you're saying died. But really in English, you got to get that tongue right behind the teeth, tight, and push more air out. Tight, tide, talk, take. I want to take an exam. So definitely that lesson, this is lesson number 23. You need to work a little bit more on that T sound. It's not easy to do, too, I'll be honest with you, because probably your own language, it's a little bit different in how you pronounce these sounds. So that's part of the challenge of getting used to a new language is becoming more accustomed to the vowels and the consonants of the new language.
Drain, fat, fad, team, dream, high, dry, breathe, breath, teeth.
Having trouble with these too, so I think this is another lesson you want to focus on. Lesson number 24, so thigh, thy. Remember with thigh, the tongue's in between the teeth, thigh. And then you'll say thy. So it's the interdental, voiceless, and voiced consonants. That's what these are.
Teeth, through, do, worth, worthy.
Yeah, a lot of trouble with that. So what do we know? So far, based on the diagnostic pretest, here's what you want to do. Now, I recommend that you go through all of my pronunciation lessons at least one time, maybe 2 times. But here's where you want to focus more. You want to spend more time on lesson number 7, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 21, 23, and 24. So, Kemp, each of these lessons is approximately 10 or 15 minutes. They're not super long, but they will give you practice with the sounds that you're having trouble with. What do? I recommend that you read out loud with me as you complete those pronunciation lessons. But even better than that, here's something else you can do. You'll notice that at the end of each lesson, there are some voice recording exercises. If you want to post some of these voice recording exercises here at my Voxy Pop discussion group, you can do that, and I will give you feedback on your pronunciation. So after you practice, you want to know if you're improving or not. And I'm honest, right? You're not going to ever meet me directly in person, but I will tell you if you're having problems or if you have mastered those sounds, I will let you know. All right, so you kind of know what you need to do. So let me just go over one more time. Lesson 7, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 21, 23, and 24. Those are the ones you want to focus on. Now, in the next part of the pretest, you're going to tell me a little bit about yourself. Now, this is important for 2 reasons. Number one, I like to know my students that I teach online, and you can give me some information so I can understand a little bit more about you. I like to know what your goals are, why you want to pass the TOEFL test, how high of a score you want to get, and all those kinds of things. So you're telling me more about yourself, and then it makes it easier for me when I'm giving you comments and things at my Voxy Pop discussion group, or when I'm reading your writing and giving you comments there. It is helpful for you to give me this information. Now, the other reason is you're giving me a chance to evaluate your speaking and pronunciation of American English. So I like to give my students an idea of how they rank. Are you a native speaker? Are you a near native speaker? Are you a high beginner speaker of American English, right? So I'm going to score you after I hear your comments. I will score you from 1.1 to 7.0 out of 7. And 7 out of 7 means a near native speaker of American English, and then 1.1 out of 7 is a high beginner speaker of American English. All right, so here we go.
I am an occupational therapist from India.
Okay.
And I have been working as an occupational therapist.
Now you're talking, I am an occupational therapist, I am from India, I need blah, 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 blah. So you're speaking in a very monotone, so that's also something that we have to solve. I'll be honest with you, it's not going to be easy, but you got to work on varying your intonation more.
In a pediatric clinic in India.
Oh, it's a pediatric clinic.
It is important for me to improve my speaking and pronunciation abilities of American English.
And I'll say they're not abilities, but abilities of American English.
Because I have applied for my work visa to US, and I need to get TOEFL speaking 26 score in order to get my license, working license for the US.
All right.
I hope to achieve speaking course score of 26 because I have already been taken TOEFL IBT exam twice, and although
I like that. You said, I have already taken the TOEFL test, and that is correct. A lot of students say, I've already given the test, but take is better than give. So that's good word choice.
Score was 106, but I was not able to score 26 in
I was not able to. Notice how you said I was not able to, but you need to make the ooh, that vowel longer. So I was not able to reach my goal of 26 on speaking.
My score was 23 in speaking. So I need to improve my English in order to get 26 in speaking TOEFL IBT.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you for completing the pre-test, Kemp. All right, we can do this, right? So your score right now is about 23. You do have some problems that you want to work on, right? So what are you doing now? So your job is to go through these pronunciation lessons over and over and over, and especially go over the ones that I outlined in this discussion thread. That's important. Secondly, you can also post some of your pronunciation practice exercises at my VoxyPop group, but remember my rule. Respect the rule. I'm offering you personal one-to-one tutorial feedback for only $45 a month. That's it. I mean, most people, they charge $45 an hour to do this kind of thing, but I want to give students a chance to improve their TOEFL without busting their budgets. You see what I'm saying? I don't want you to pay too much money each month. Think about it. It probably costs more money to fill your tank up with gasoline than it does to use my whole course for a full month and get feedback from me. Okay, but here's my rule. Whatever you post on a day-to-day basis, make sure it's not more than 60 seconds long, because 60 seconds, it takes me 5 or 6 minutes to analyze those 60 seconds. And then I got 10 or 15 people every day posting speaking and pronunciation practice. I have to keep things not too, I can't spend more time than that. I just don't have enough time in the day. All right, that's the basic rule. So you can send me one speaking, you can send me one pronunciation practice test, whatever, but everything needs to be only 60 seconds or less on a day-to-day basis. And I will do my best to help you improve. What you do is start taking notes, right? You want to start taking notes in 3 areas when you do speaking practice, right? What are my pronunciation suggestions I'm giving you? What are my language use suggestions I'm giving you in terms of vocabulary and grammar? And then number 3 is your topic development. How well are you organizing and developing your responses? I will definitely give you comments in all those areas. Does that make sense? So I'm glad to have you as one of my students, and good luck to you. And beginning tomorrow, you want to start posting speaking practice tests every day, no joke. Because the more you practice, the more familiar I become with what your problems are, and then the better feedback I can provide you. And you will get better and better and better as you eliminate some of these problems. So what is the first thing that you want to do when you start doing TOEFL speaking? Here's my first 2 suggestions. Number 1, make sure you're pronouncing the T and the P with more air. For example, people, pot, put, talk, tip, and so on. You need to make sure you pronounce the T and the P with more air. And guess what? I am going to remind you over and over and over. If you're not doing that, I will remind you every day when you do your speaking. I will tell you if you're pronouncing those sounds correctly. Now, the second thing you want to do is to try to improve your intonation. Try to vary your intonation of American English. So instead of saying, "Hi, my name is Michael. I am the online TOEFL course teacher for the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. I'm glad to have you as a student." I can't talk in that monotone voice. Your TOEFL score is going to go down if you do that, right? So these are the 2 things, the very first 2 things you want to start thinking about. How can you make improvements in those 2 areas? It's my job You're paying me to give you feedback to let you know if you're making improvements with your speaking and your pronunciation, and I can tell you whether or not you are ready to take the TOEFL exam to reach 26. What is 26? Think about it for a minute. To score 26, it means this. You have to get a score of 4 on 4 of the speaking tasks during the TOEFL speaking section. And you have to get a score of 3 on 2 of them. If you can do that, that's going to put you at 26 points out of 30. All right, anyway, nice to meet you again. I'm glad to have you as one of my students, and all the best to your high-scoring speaking success.